One day I would be a business owner. One day I would be a successful mother, although my life was raggedy. And I was just so caught up in my addiction and being bound in my addiction. I almost killed my oldest child, and that same little girl is the one that kept me alive when I took my last hit. And now today she's super successful because of God for once, her forgiveness towards me. And not only that, she made a wise choice that I can be greater than the outcome of the life that my mom once lived.
Hey everybody, I am back with another episode of Soul with Success Stories. And today I'm really excited to be talking to an amazing woman with an incredible story. Incredible story. So I can't wait to get in it. This is Wanda Taylor. And Wanda is the president and CEO. That's her title, but she's also the founder and the creator of Links. Ladies in Need Can Survive. I met Wanda, I guess, I don't know, trying to remember, about 10 years ago. It was sometime around when I first started the So What Foundation, right? Was that our first time meeting at that?
I believe we first met when I started this organization. So it's close to 10. We'll be celebrating 9 years. So probably about 7 years, maybe we've been knowing each other.
Okay. Yeah. So I believe we met at that accounting workshop. Both of us had started nonprofits. Yes. And one of us knew what we were doing.
Of course not.
We just had a heart to do it. And,
right.
And we both are still in this. And so, Wanda, I am super proud of you and super excited and really honored to be connected to you because of what you do. But especially because of your resilience story. And that's my jam, is resilience and right. Obstacles. And that's what you've done. So Wanda, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, hey, everyone that is tuned on. My name is Wanda Taylor, and I'm a mother of 2 amazing daughters. I have 5 grandchildren. I have 5 granddogs. And Royal, which is my little puppy. And I am a self-published author. I'm a community activist, a motivational speaker. I'm a self-published author. I could just kind of go on. I'm a community award-winning activist. This journey has been so surreal, but it has been worth it all. So I can end it right there.
Yeah, well, let's get into your story then.
Okay.
Because yes, you have added some amazing titles to your name. And it all came from your story and your ability to overcome the challenges that you've been through. So in this program, I have what I call the So What Success System. And it's my belief that if anyone can learn how to overcome obstacles, eliminate excuses, and calculate choices, they can achieve So What Success. And that is success in spite of any obstacles they face. And Wanda, you've done that. You're definitely a So What woman. Talk about some of the obstacles that you've had to overcome and just how you've done that.
Okay, well, some of the obstacles, for many of you know my story and many of you don't. I had to overcome a lot, Summer. And before we dive in, thank you for this opportunity. And it's such an honor and a pleasure to be on this journey with you. But yes, again, I had to overcome a lot of obstacles. I overcame homelessness. I overcame substance abuse. I overcame trauma. I overcame being abused, overcame poverty. I can just go on and on. I overcame the justice system, whereas I was in and out of jail for a lot of poor decisions that I was making. I overcame just being broken, and I experienced a great deal of that because at some point in life, I had no idea of who I was, so those are some of them. I mean, I can continue. So that's a lot in itself.
So
But yeah,
so not too long ago, I was about to say the other night, but my concept of time is all messed up now with COVID. But when you had your fundraiser that I attended and you gave your testimony on the stage, and you even talked about sexual abuse.
yes.
Tell a little bit more specifically about some of that trauma, some of the challenges that you had to overcome and how you dealt with it, how you overcame it.
Well, for once, I had to get to know Christ. That's where it all derived from. So I struggled for a decade plus before I was introduced to Christ. And then when I came into the knowledge of Him, I began to understand that a lot of things that I went through was necessary, which prepared me for the work that I'm doing today. And then also I understood that I wasn't on this journey on this journey alone, because biblically there are a lot of individuals in the Bible have some of my same issues, right? And so that helped me by giving my life to the Lord, because it helped me to plant that foundation. It gave me that solid ground to stand on, and knowing that no matter what I have gone through, that there is recompense to my struggle. And so that is one way that I was able to overcome these different burials in my life. And then for two, having a mentor of 28 years, this December 31st, that marks my 30 years of being sober from substance abuse.
Congratulations, Wanda. That deserves a celebration, girl.
Yes, I am done with those drugs, honey.
That's big.
Yeah, celebrated 28 years. And then just having that mentor to walk alongside me on this journey, that helped tremendously. And last but not least, the fight. I fought to be sober. I fought to be healed. I fought to be delivered. I fought to be successful. So the fight was surreal, but it was worth the fight. And if I had to do it all over again, I would. And what I also mean by that is I fought to live a defeated life. So I had to put a little more energy in the fight to become successful. And that's what I did. God held closely and held on to my mentor for these last 28 years, and realizing that in order to succeed, I have to keep striving and I have to keep fighting.
Yes. So you've had a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges in your life. And you know what? You could have made a lot of excuses.
Yes.
You made a lot of excuses for not living the life that you live now and doing the work that you do now, but you didn't. Right. Those excuses. Talk about those excuses that you had to eliminate, how you got rid of those excuses so that you can move forward.
Well, it was one scripture that I held on to, Summer, and that was Philippians 4:19, that I could do all things through Christ which strengthened me. That particular scripture saved my life. And what I mean by that is, if I could do all things through Christ, excuses is not an option. So in other words, although I was illiterate, couldn't read or write or analyze a sentence, but that didn't stop me from walking across this stage with my high school diploma at 28 years old. You know, if I would have continued to make excuses that, oh, that I can't, then I would have never done it. And if I would have kept making excuses, you know, that I'm not smart enough to go to college, I won't be a 3-time college graduate today. And if I kept making excuses, you know, that, oh, you're not smart enough, I would have never wrote a book and have sold over thousands of copies. You know, so if I would have kept making excuses, girl, you cannot frame a sentence. You know, if I would have allowed that, I would have never been featured on TVN twice. I wouldn't be in all these newspaper articles on every news station here in the city of Memphis. You know, so many open doors came from when I decided to no longer make excuses for what has happened to me. So now I use those as my stepping stone to get me closer and closer to God for once. And then not only that, to pay it forward to those that feels like that there is no more hope. I am the face of hope. I am the face that you can overcome all things in life if you choose to.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And that is definitely the truth. So eliminating excuses is the second part of the soul of success. And the third is calculating choices. Learning how to calculate choices. And so you just listed a lot of things that you've done. And eliminating those excuses help you to accomplish those things. So you've made some very deliberate choices in your life. Talk about some of the choices that you've had to calculate to get to where you are and to do what you're doing. And including that, your choice to start links. Talk about that.
Okay, so some of the choices were stay away from the wrong people, places, and things. That is number one. And I realized when you get away from negative energy, you have that tenacity, that courage, and that boldness to change the trajectory of your life. That's number one. And then for number two, you have to believe in yourself. You have to really believe that you can, despite of the rape, despite of the molestation, despite of the incest that I experienced, despite of being born to an addict father and my mom struggled at one point with alcoholism, despite of being homeless, despite of in and out of jail, despite of all of these things that was real in my life. So I had to count the cost by if you stay away from wrong people, places, and things, you will do well in life. And then I began to speak positive affirmations over my life every single day that I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. Greater one lives on the inside of me. I'm the head, not the tail. I'm above only, not beneath. I am successful. I can become great. I will be great. There is no failure in God. I'm in God, so I can never fail. So those positive affirmations help me. And I quoted those things every single day. One day I would be a business owner. One day I would be a successful mother, although my life was raggedy. And I was just so caught up in my addiction and being bound in my addiction. I almost killed my oldest child, and that same little girl is the one that kept me alive when I took my last hit. And now today she's super successful because of God for once, her forgiveness towards me. And not only that, she made a wise choice that I can be greater than the outcome of the life that my mom once lived. And now my baby is signing up for her doctoral program, which she's like 1 year away from being a doctor. And of course, my youngest daughter, she's an entrepreneur, very successful as well. So I had to count the cost. My children was one of those costs. Wanda, if you don't stop, and when I looked in that mirror and when I was able to determine that if you don't stop, one day your children will take on the attributes, the negative attributes of you. So if you don't want that to happen, stop the curse, cut it off. And that's exactly what I did.
Girl. So, okay, I see you got some action in the background. It made me, some people walking around. It made me think about when we got together and the time you were telling me more about links. When I began to learn more and more about links, and what I learned was that you had a house and you were bringing women in to stay with you who needed help, help. And I was like, my son had just gotten out of my house. He was grown and on his own. And I was like, oh my God, bless you, child. Bless you, child, because that's hard. It's hard being a mom, a single mom with a young adult or a teenage child. And I'm like, okay, Wanda, essentially that's what you got going on now, is that you are caring for these adult women that have some major challenges, which you understood, but that was a lot of work. I knew that was a lot of work, just simply being there. And even when we talked, and I said, I invited you to get away for a little bit and come stay with me, spend the night. We had a sleepover and that was fun. And I was being able to allow you to get that break. I remember you saying too, like, okay, basically you have to find a babysitter because they needed to be supervised just because they had those challenges. And you loved on them through that. But I remember that. And I remember like, wow, Wanda, you raised your kids. You just talked about your kids and you did an awesome job with your girls. But here you are in this position, taking that on. And I'm like, that's so admirable. That is so admirable that you've done that. So talk a little bit about Links and what made you start Links.
Okay, so well, what made me start Links is because of the hell that I've been through in life, and I was able to overcome it. So I promised God that I would pay it forward. So Links was just a thought in my head for about a decade. And then one day I just decided I'm going to do this. And I stepped out on faith. I stepped, I'm about those scriptures because those will keep me grounded. I stepped out on Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So in other words, I didn't know how God was going to do it. All I know was I was called to do it. And so I have taken all of my horrific experiences and all of my success and blended them together. And that's how Links came about. So yes, we've been on this journey. August 5th will mark 9 years for us. And yes, it's not always easy because you can't always see the hand of God and how he's going to provide and how he's going to make provision. But all you have is that thought in that scripture, knowing that he will provide. And that's what I have done all of these years. And you're right, that day that I came and we had that girls' night out, it was one of the first opportunities to free me from this organization because I stayed here for about 6.5 of these years, not even getting a paycheck. And when I did, it was $5,000. If you divide that by 6.5 of those years, I actually lived here and I worked at no cost. And I was making like 41.73 an hour before I started this company. So in other words, that was very challenging to walk away from having a substantial living, being your own independent woman, and then taking on the responsibility of others, and then stepping out on faith, not knowing if God gonna allow you to sink or drown. You understand what I'm saying? So this process, it's been tedious, but most definitely it has been worth it. And again, just having that girls' day with you allowed me 24 hours to be able to breathe and to separate myself from the environment of the work that I do. Yes, I work with a lot of women that has a great deal of trauma. And I'm glad that I had that same type of trauma and have had the opportunity to walk a mile in their shoes. So I understand the pain and I understand the process of it. And I understand the purpose that comes behind it. So that's the reason why Links came into fruition. It was just a thought. I always talked about it. I breathed it. I dreamed about it. Every morning I will wake up and say, one day I will make a difference all across this world. I'm going to plant Links in 52 states where God allowed that opportunity to prevail itself. But yeah, that's how it all came about, because I walked them out in their shoes and everything that they have experienced. I experienced it. And because of the grace and mercy of God, I have overcame it.
Isn't it painful for the trauma that you've experienced? Because it helps some other people. I can relate to that. I can relate to that. Well, Wanda, I know that, and I've seen it, you changing lives. You are absolutely changing lives in a major way, because you learn how to implement the SOA success system, even without realizing it. That's exactly what you've done. And so achieved so much success yourself that you probably never dreamt possible for yourself.
No, of course not.
Until you did dream it, and you made it happen, and I love it. But Wanda, how do you personally define success? What does success mean to you?
Success means to me, I have a lot of thoughts on what success means. Success means to me never quitting, never giving up, never allowing that to consume your mind, because you fail by your thoughts. So if you have control over your thoughts, you successful. You can have nothing and have a thought of positivity and have it all, because relates back to the scriptures. So a man think it, so is he. So if you believe that you're successful, you are. If you believe you're a failure, you are. Our life is governed by what we speak. Our life is governed by what we think. So when I change, when my thought lined up with my mouth, and when my mouth lined up with my thought, hey, every day I'm amazing, and I'm successful. I'm striving, and I'm thriving, and I'm going to be the best I can be. And I'm going to pay it forward that other women will have that same ambitious, those same thought processes in life. And that's how I define success, helping another woman win.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, last question for you.
Okay.
It's not a question, but what advice? What advice would you give to someone who wants to be successful, however they define it? But they're experiencing challenges. So you know something about challenges and you know something about being successful in spite of challenges. What's one piece of advice that you haven't already given that you would share?
Do it afraid.
I like that one. I say that too.
Just do it afraid, because know that if God put it in you, put it inside of you, he is able to deliver and to bring that thing into fruition. And if I end on this note, Summer, is that we have to remember that gifts and talents come from God. So he says your gift will make room for you. So in other words, the talent is already within. He don't put something in you that he's not going to allow you to win. So in other words, and if you can hold on to that gifts and talent lies within, and those gifts and talents come from the creator. So in other words, how can you fail? Because it's he that put those gifts and talents on the inside of you. Remember, there is no failure in God.
So step forward and do it even when you're scared.
Even when you're scared.
I thank you for your time. I thank you for all that you are doing. I thank you for your sacrifice, because you make a lot of sacrifices. You've made a lot of sacrifices in your life to help other people, to help women who you don't have to do it.
I do not have to do it. I do not.
But you are doing it, and you are making a sacrifice. And I personally applaud you, and I support you, and I love you. And I thank you for the lives that you are saving, the lives that you have changed, that you're changing. And I'm just honored to know you and be able to call you my friend.
Likewise.
Thank you, Wanda.
No, thank you, Queen. I appreciate you.